You've reached the end of the Lost Forest, but the beginning of the truth. Oh, buddy, we're on the Hikikomori route. I don't know how much of the truth we're gonna learn on this route, but my hunch says not much. Not much, my dude. Welcome back to Omori with our Hikikomori route. Not exactly Hikikomori specific, but last time we started the Hikikomori route, we did not open up the door to Cal. We had a dizzy spell. Maybe Sunny is anemic. Makes sense. We did not keep that stake down. Probably not getting the iron that we need. And I'm also checking out the things that I missed in my first playthrough of Omori, such as Daddy Longlegs. And whatever this Lost Forest is. So, having said that, you have a very small head and very big spindly fingers and arms, and it's a bit unsettling. What will this hole do? Also, thank God I figured out. Fucking hell, dude. What this hole? Same place. All holes lead to one hole. What if I go backwards? Nope. I mean, like, all holes lead to one hole, but one hole leads to no holes. But I don't want to leave. I want to figure out what is here in the Lost Forest. God. Maybe there's something different that I need to be looking for. Oh! You're different, and that's black. Not the Daddy Longlegs, the bunny. Suppose we all hold secrets, no matter how lost or how deep down we bury them, they find their way back to the other side. Like the truth? Feels rather ominous. Also, is the bunny gonna be like one of those spiders? No. Oh, it just... That's new. Ghost bunny! Well, that's a thing. To float in place? I mean, you are a ghost. They turn white. Okay. That's just a stump, as you do. Wait, you're different. This is different. Okay. I did progress. Trying to lose yourself, or have you accomplished that already? Damn! That hits close to home, right? Trying to lose yourself, or have you accomplished that already? Damn. And well, not only that, but this is like a very maze-like structure. Like, to find out something like this, we have to go out of our way. This is a certain level of, like, not avoiding. To have to search for something like this. It's not quite the truth, but it is a bit of, like, one step closer. It doesn't tell us what we're avoiding, but it does tell us, like, maybe you are avoiding something. Damn, Daddy Longlegs. Either way, this is the right place for you. Oh, you're losing yourself, so, like, you gotta be in the Lost Forest. Perhaps that's why you've come here to finish the job. Damn! Damn! And then what, we get, like, a pearl for our troubles? I should talk to you before I just grab a pearl. I don't want to get myself into trouble. Usually, we tend to do things we want, as opposed to things we say we do. Yeah, I guess. These are, like, super general statements that are hard to, like, agree or disagree with, but we do tend to go with the path of least resistance. And we do tend to, like, move towards things that we want, usually towards this idea of, like, instant gratification. If something will give us what we want now, we're gonna move towards that thing that we want now. Humans are very instant gratification-led machines. I've never been one for wants. I'm more of a need kind of person. Well, we are driven by needs. But once our needs are taken care of, what else are we gonna move towards? Like, what else drives us? I suggest you look for the exit before your needs become more apparent. What does that mean? Especially because the needs are in quotes. Usually when I think of needs, I think of like food, water, shelter, like those kinds of things. The thing is that like if we don't get those, we're not really surviving. But the needs are in quotes, so what does that mean when you say needs? Huh. Am I going back? You're still here? You must have either given up or you have fully embraced your fate. A confession, perhaps, but I'm not the one to tell. A confession. Ooh, a confession. That word feels like it has a lot of implications. And, like, knowing what we know, it's not, like, an inaccurate comment. Excuse me, Bunny. Oh, the ghost bunny doesn't attack me. Well, now I'm just lost. There was a boy wandering around. I didn't know I should talk to him every time. I just assumed he'd repeat himself like the first area. There's a boy wandering around here before, very similar to you. He went into the darkness and never came out. So Basil, or I guess really at this point it's our perception of Basil. We haven't fucking seen Basil 3 or 4 years. We don't know shit about Basil. We don't know how he's doing now. We don't know any of that. We're just guessing. How regretful it must have been to never find what he was looking for. Or we are still talking about ourselves. Be it regret, defeat, or confusion, no one will know. Those are also all negative. We're not entertaining the possibility of something positive. Why is that? I mean, at this point, maybe we can say that we ourselves don't see a lot of hope. So if we don't see a lot of hope ourselves, then why would we consider that a possibility? What do you have to say? I've been lost, and I've seen blind, but the combination is unsettling. Perhaps you are hiding away from the right way. Does that mean I should go right? Okay, so I'm back here. I went down before, and that led me a different way. But do you have something different to say? Morals are lost on the wicked. How does one define malice without intent? Why do you continue down this path, and it's most certainly not the right way? Look, dude, okay, I'm trying my best. It's a maze. Do you have anything else to say? There's an old saying about wasting time and living a life that's not your dreams can feel like that. This forest is lost. Jesus. I can't tell if I actually should be going back or not. Oh, his light kind of turns on. Because there was one point where he said, like, you should go back. Oh, I should talk to you. But like, I can't tell if he just means, like, if that's just, like, part of what he says, or if I really should go back. Sometimes when we hide things from ourselves, we create different truths and eventually forget our way. Yeah, I can see that. Have you found yours yet? Or are you still lost? So back here... Forget all you will or try to. Darkness manifests whether you are aware or not. Hide inhabitable behind ignorance. Oh. You have some very philosophical things that you want to say. Darkness surrounds you. That sound is new. Like, creaking. The darkness surrounds you and it is a terrible thing, but your truth, in quotes, has guided you. How much longer can you keep it? Well, we do know that truth, the concept of truth is, like, meaningful and impactful. I think I go left. And then I go right. What do you have to say? Darkness surrounds you. It's a terrible thing. Okay, so you're just now gonna keep repeating yourself. Oh, fuck.
A few moments later.
Okay. Back here. This one always puts me back 2 spots when I mess it up. Okay, so I've tried down. I've tried that. Like, middle-ish. Let's try this one. And if it's not that, then I can try the one in the trees. The darkness guide me. Do you mean the bunny? Is that what you mean by the darkness guiding me? Well, if that's the case, if that is true. This is different. Yeah, so it is. You just go where the bunnies are? Yes? No? Maybe? Well, if that's the case, then... But now the bunny's down here. There's nothing down here. Oh, there's no other way to go. Do you have anything different to say? No. How much longer are you going to repeat yourself? Sometimes this game has very unsettling music, and I don't like that. Other times this game has no music. I don't like that either. None of those are good options. None of it. Don't like it. We can't run. Nope. Oh. Oh, darkness, my old friend. You've reached the end of the Lost Forest. But the beginning of the truth. Oh, buddy. We're on the Hikikomori route. I don't know how much of the truth we're going to learn on this route, but my hunch says not much. Not much, my dude. I will tell you a story that has been lost through time and space. A story about the creation of this reality. Ooh, go on. Go on. In the beginning, there only existed two. Sunny and Omori? Oh, the dreamer, so Sunny, and his room. So the white room, or the white space, or just literally the room. The dreamer grew weary of his room and created a door that led to many different worlds. Okay, so literally his room. So Sunny, in the very beginning of like locking himself away from the world, it was just him in his room, like a lot of us have. Like I have right now. I have a room and me in my room, right? Best of friends. So, but then like the room wasn't enough. Like we grow bored of what's in our room. It's the same walls all the time. And so it's like, I need something different. I need something like a change of scenery kind of thing. The dreamer grew weary of his room and created a door that led to many different worlds. So created this dream world, probably not purposefully. It was probably something that just like happened slowly and over time, like daydreaming, right? We don't usually sit here. Don't get me wrong, we can, but we don't usually sit here and think, I'm gonna daydream today. It just happens. Walking the path as a visitor to these worlds, the dreamer would come and go as he pleased. So when we say that someone is a visitor, that implies that Sunny didn't know that he was the creator of the worlds. Because otherwise you could just like snap your fingers and be like, boom, there's Basil. But no, because we don't see ourselves as the creator, the god of these worlds, we have to go through the adventure, right? And part of that is probably like on purpose, right? Because like, why else create a world unless you want to go on an adventure with your friends? Slips and falls, tumbles and drops. The dreamer's curiosity and clumsy exploration eventually led him to a certain world. Is that black space? One not like the others. Yeah, black space is the only thing I can think of. Yep, one painted with chaos and bathed in darkness. But then again, that implies that there's a certain level that we created that, which like we did, I think. Because if we created these worlds for a certain intent, if we do things for a reason, if we do things for a purpose, we don't always know what that reason and purpose is, then we created these worlds as an escape. Then what is black space for? Well, black space is all of those things that we can't face. All those scary, terrible things. So the purpose behind that is to have some place to fucking put that shit. What else are you gonna do with it? The dreamer slowly became filled with dread. Yeah, because Sunny accidentally stumbled upon the place that is filled with all of the most terrible things that are so overwhelming they had to be put somewhere that he couldn't see them. And suddenly he found it, and that's just too incredibly overwhelming. It's this idea that like trauma and stuff like that, like if we're not ready to face those things, it can sometimes feel like it's too much. Quiet as they may have been, words of malice quietly crept into his mind. So feeling like he accidentally stumbled upon stuff he was not ready for made it so negative negative thoughts, negative self-talk, which is probably there inherently just because what else was in black space, right? But that started popping in more and more. And I imagine that fed black space more. Whispering lies, secrets, and truths. Powerless to silence the noise, the dreamer manifested benevolent beings in his different worlds. So to combat the negative thoughts that were popping up more and more and more, because he wasn't ready to face the trauma, but felt like he had been forced to more than he was ready for, he combated that, he fought that, by coming up with more positive things to help him try to fight that. So I imagine that would be his friends. And he compounded his worlds above the dark realm. So, and then came up with more and more colorful, basically this idea that if something is too dark and too scary, let's come up with more light. Let's come up with more color. But inherently, though, you can't have darkness without the light. So if you create too much light, or more light, would that create more shadows? It's an analogy. Sealing it with their combined might. Yet, despite his valiant efforts, the darkness's presence never abated. Yeah, because the idea is you have to work through it to get to the other side and not just, like, push it down and bottle it up. Because you bottle it up, that shit's gonna explode. Even with his new allies, the darkness continued to scrape and scratch at the back of the dreamer's mind. Ooh, it's really good imagery. Scrape and scratch the back of the dreamer's mind. Noise might have subsided, but it never went away. The dreamer could run, bury away with his fears, but one still had to face his own reflection. Interesting that they phrased it that way. Because, like, yeah, the way to actually, I don't want to say fix this shit, but the way to actually, like, make this manageable, make it so it goes away, I guess, is to work through stuff. Even though it can be incredibly hard to make that decision when we don't know there is a through. Because when we say through, that implies that there is hope that on the other side things will get better. But if we don't know that, if we can't have that hope in our mind, it's really hard to make that step and say, yes, I am going to work through this. And I feel like recognizing that, because so much of the time we hear people who say, oh, just do it, right? Like, oh, just step outside your house, just do this, just do that. And that can feel really minimizing when we ourselves don't see that there is some good that can come from doing these things. But the way that they phrase facing his own reflection, to me, is interesting, because in the game, of course, like, that's when we see the something behind us. But maybe that is also this idea of when we look ourselves in the mirror. That's an analogy that I use a lot to talk about defense mechanisms, which are there to protect us. And I've talked about that a lot with Omori, and like why Omori exists is a way to protect Sunny. Because it's this idea that if we have a hard time looking at ourselves in the mirror and admitting something, that's when a defense mechanism can pop up. So it's interesting that they use that same verbiage, that same kind of analogy, this idea that, like, if he has a hard time looking at himself in the mirror, which he does, they have shown that visually with this something's there, then that shows that there's stuff going on, right? The dreamer has created with something he could not be a part of, something outside himself, like the somethings. The somethings don't show on top of Omori's face or on top of Sunny's face when he looks at himself in the mirror. It is something else. It's something outside of him that haunts him. The dreamer's own power was his greatest adversity. So his own imagination didn't help him in this situation. Knowledge, the absence of it, would become the dreamer's greatest gift. Ignorance is bliss. If he was ignorant, maybe that would help, right? Is that what they're saying? To truly escape the perils of one's faculty and ascend to a blissful state of ignorance. Only then would the noise cease to agitate the dreamer's sanity. So, the dreamer took on another name. Chose to forget himself. So, Omori isn't entirely another entity. Although he could have become one, apparently. Sunny purposefully chose to become Omori because ignorance is bliss. I mean, that makes sense with what I was saying before as far as, well, what about how Omori might feel about having these friends? But then, what about black space? Omori seemed to act almost independently from Sunny. So many of those later came scenes. From that time on, the dreamer has lived amongst us, simply as an inhabitant of this world traveling along blissfully ignorant of his own fabrication. But not really. Right? Children, I must warn you, because the more the truth came up, the less that was the case, right? It's almost like the more Omori fought back. This idea of like, what is Omori then? Is Omori almost like a separate being? Is Omori a representation of Sunny? Children, I must warn you, as with all things that are born in and out of this world, an end will threaten this one too. Though the dreamer may have subdued the exhonorable, the darkness grows still. No bandage can stifle an external wound. No bandage can heal trauma. An interesting analogy that I don't know where I heard it from. I will own that. I feel like analogies are something that therapists kind of collect like fucking Pokeballs. Pokemon. Whatever. Pick a word for that. And sometimes you kind of like carry around these analogies and you don't know where they came from. Not like it's purposeful plagiarism. You just like don't know where you got it from. So how do you credit someone? But an analogy that I've heard for trauma that I think is very accurate is this idea that trauma is a wound that was not inflicted, like we didn't cause the wound ourselves, but it is a wound that has been caused. It has been, it's like someone cut us. It is something that was not caused by us. But just because it wasn't caused by us doesn't mean it's not our duty to heal it. And I think that in a lot of ways is a really good way to talk about trauma. It feels accurate. Trauma isn't caused by us. It's not. It's caused by the world around us. It may be caused by actions that other people chose to take. Not that I'm blaming other people. It's the actions that other people choose to take. But just because it's not our fault. Because I'm not saying, I don't want to victim blame here. It is not our fault that trauma happened to us. It's not. It really isn't. But that wound is still there. And it is our responsibility to heal a wound that has been done to us, even if it's not our fault. And I think that's a really good way to describe trauma. And we can't just slap a bandage on it. And there will be a time when its influence will bleed through. Forgetful the dreamer may be of his peril. The peril never forgets to be. Yet the end of this world may be an inevitability. The dreamer is the only one with the ability that can truly set this world free. I think a lot of times when we talk about something ending, we talk about it like it's a bad thing. In this case, it would be like freedom is usually a good thing. So the idea that this world ending would be a sense of freedom, it's an interesting way to describe it. Because in a lot of ways, that would be the trauma being processed through, wouldn't it? Hopefully. I hope that's a good thing. Oh! Is that an H or an X? Well, I have a meeting that I have to attend. So, this video, while incredibly short, is where I'm going to have to stop for today. So, I have finally explored and or talked to Daddy Longlegs and all of the very philosophical comments that he had about this world, which I find very interesting. It's definitely something to think about. I would love to hear your thoughts on this part of the game, and I will see you next time.